Let's go. Top 10. My top 10 as we get into October. At number 10, I'm going to go with Oklahoma. Now, remember last week I did not have Oklahoma in there. I thought the Mateer injury was going to be really difficult for them to overcome, and it might still be when they face a good opponent. They beat Kent State. Here's what I do know is I do think that defense is pretty real. The defensive line is pretty real, and that's going to give them a chance even if Mateer is not on the field and even if Mateer is not totally healthy moving forward. It brings me back to that comment. Brent Venables was asked, like, why are you going back to calling the defense? And he's like, because I'm good at it. It's like, yep, you sure are. They're 1 or 2 in the country in a lot of categories. Them and Ohio State, right up there at the top of the sport. Not expected to have Mateer back for Texas, but listen, Chipotle rumor. I'm rooting for it. Want to see him on the field, and I want to see the Chipotle rumor actually come to fruition. At number 9 for me is Georgia. They beat Kentucky 35-14, handled their business, did everything that they needed to do. We know that Georgia has some flaws. There's no doubt. We also know that they are potent and that they could beat anybody. There's no doubt about that as well. So Georgia is going to continue to sit in there. They're number 9. At number 8, I'm going to go with Texas Tech. And just a couple of quick thoughts on Texas Tech. I watch all of this film, and like, you can see when a team is good, and then you can see when a team has a good record. Those are 2 totally different things. And I think you guys know that in college football. This is just a really good team. And I think that we have to start wrapping our head around this team being an elite team in college football. They dominated Houston 35-11. Game was not even close to as close as that score because they settled for a couple of field goals on some possessions. They are explosive on offense. They can throw it. They can run it. And then their defense is incredible. The pressure rate that they have, like, for instance, they put more pressure on Houston on the quarterback than anybody last week. You know, I think the only other team that put that amount of pressure on the opposing quarterback was Florida on Arch Manning. They were constantly in the backfield. They've got really good linebackers. Jacob Rodriguez, who you're watching on YouTube right now with his interception, he's going to be an All-American candidate and a Buckeyes candidate. There's no doubt. He's constantly around the football, causing turnovers. He's productive in terms of tackles. And then, like, they've just built a really, really good roster. That is the best team in the Big 12. They're going to have a couple of big tests coming up. I know that they go to Arizona State in a couple of weeks, and Arizona State, by the way, is going to be on the back of having to play Utah. Arizona State plays Utah next week. Then they're going to have to play Texas Tech at home the following week. That's going to be difficult for them, and that, I think, advantaged Texas Tech. So listen, I know what I'm looking at, and I'm looking at an incredibly good team right there. Alabama is going to be at number 7. They beat Vandy. They ran for 146 yards on almost 4 a carry, so that was a little bit better than the way that they toted the rock against Georgia. That's my question for them, because I know they're elite throwing the football. I think they've probably got the best passing game, pure passing game in college football. Doesn't surprise me with Kalen DeBoer's background, Ryan Grubb's background. Simpson's a great fit for them. They've got weapons on the outside. I don't necessarily know if it's truly in Kalen DeBoer's DNA and Ryan Grubb's DNA to be great running the football, but they ran it effectively enough against Vandy, certainly more effective than they were on the ground against Georgia. That does need to increase, though, because here's the thing with Alabama. As great as they are throwing the football, Washington found this out with Michael Penix. You're going to run up against a team that puts pressure on that passing game, which already happened week 1 when Florida State was all over Ty Simpson. You see, that's one of those things that doesn't always travel. When you all of a sudden don't have a great day protecting the passer, you're going to be very vulnerable. And that's where Alabama is going to be at. But right now, I've got them at number 7. At number 6, I've got Indiana. Again, I think Indiana is an elite team. You watch the way that they play offense. Their defense is incredibly opportunistic. Scheme-wise, they game plan as well or better than anybody. Curt Cignetti does an incredible job every week of putting his players in position to succeed. Kind of going back to what I said in that first conversation surrounding Penn State. That's the coach's job. Cignetti does that really well. and their defense does it as well. I'm always impressed when I watch Indiana on film, and Mendoza has kind of taken their offense to another level. I thought Curtis Rourke was really good, in particular before he had that hand injury last year against Nebraska. He had the surgery. They were never really the same after that. Mendoza has increased the level of offensive play and execution, and that's huge for Indiana, and they run it well. At 5, I've got Ole Miss. With Chambliss, their offense is more dynamic. Defense played really well against LSU. Ole Miss is right there for me. That's some good wins for them, and I'm going to put them at number 5. At number 4, I've got Texas A&M. Now, I had the 4-box going and my phone. So I had the iPad with the 4-box going on YouTube TV in the plane. Thank goodness when I've got good internet on these airplanes. Got the 4-box going and then my phone going. So I got 5 games going on my way home every single Saturday night. One of the 4 boxes was this Texas A&M game. And it was sluggish at times early on the offensive side. And, I thought to myself, well, is their offense as elite as I thought? And then it clicked, right? And it started to get going. And Craver gets the ball in space, and he's as fast as anybody in the country. And Marcel Reed starts to play a little bit better. But guess what was the constant, and now has been the constant over the last 2 games in conference? The defense. The defense has been outstanding. 2 straight weeks of great defense. In fact, on 3rd down, the most critical snap on defense. The last 2 weeks combined, A&M's defense is 1-23. I should put that the other way. The opposing offense is 1 for the last 23. So they've stopped 22 of the last 23 3rd down opportunities of the opposition in league play. That's really difficult to do. So they're playing great. And I think that A&M at this point is a team that could probably beat anybody else in the SEC. I think that the SEC doesn't have a great team. They've got a lot of good teams. They have not had a team separate themselves into the echelon of the top 3, who are going to be Miami, Oregon, and Ohio State in some order. But they've got a lot of good teams. And A&M right now, at least for me, is at the class of that because of the way that they played last week. Number 3, and listen, I know that this is a razor's edge between all these 3 teams. Here's how I'm going to put them, and then I'll discuss all 3. So I'll just do all 3 right now. Miami is going to be number 3 after their win over Florida State 28-22. Oregon is going to be number 2, and then Ohio State is going to be number 1. And listen, I get it. If you voted Miami number 1, I get that. If you voted Oregon number 1, I understand that. If you voted Ohio State number 1, I get it and I support it. So let me start with Miami. That game was not as close as the final score. We all know it if we watched it, 28-22, but Florida State clawed back in that game and started doing things totally, it became schoolyard ball in a lot of sense. And 17-play drive, Miami's defense starts getting a little bit tired. But man, when it was regular football, like let's just line it up and play, Miami dominated Florida State. Their defensive line dominated Florida State. Castellanos had nowhere to go with the football. And offensively, they're showing quality run game, good offensive line play, and a quarterback that can be elite and explosive. Kadarius Toney on the outside is really good. Man, these guys that come in and reclassify and play so well. Ryan Williams, Jakeem Stewart, the defensive tackle for USC. It kind of blows my mind how well they play early in their careers. They led that 28-3 in the 4th quarter. That's more of the game that I have in my mind. Florida State keeps getting back in it and back in it. And by the way, they got close to covering. And I was given 4.5 in this one. By the way, picks 3-2 this week. 3-2, man. I needed a winning record like I needed air to breathe. Number 2 was Oregon, like I said. So again, I really like Miami. I really do. 2 is Oregon. The win over Penn State is obviously a huge win for them. Now they're going to have a monster game against Indiana. That's going to be a huge game at home for Oregon. We'll see if they can rise up again and beat another really quality opponent, top 10 opponent. This one's going to be in their house. And I'll just go back to this. Dante Moore is playing incredible football. And right now, he would probably get the nod for me as the Heisman Trophy winner. I think he's been that good, and he is that good and will be that good. The defense played great, stopping the run against Penn State, made plays when they needed to in overtime with that interception. The run game has been solid. De'Aaron Hill Their true freshman back is one of the best backs in the country. He's very efficient running the football. But my number one team is going to be Ohio State. And so with Ohio State at number one, that was also one of the games I had on in the 4-box on Saturday night. They just dismantled Minnesota. It's not very close. And here's the bottom line for me. They are the team that has not shown a real weakness in any game. And that's why they're number one. They are suffocatingly good because they have answers. If you take away their deep passing game, they'll throw it short. If you take away their short passing game, they'll run it. They've got the best offensive player in the country in Jeremiah Smith. If you take him away, Carnell Tate is probably a first-round draft pick on the other side. Tate was incredible. 9 catches, 183, and a touchdown against Minnesota. Hey, that's a pretty good number too. Hey, by the way, if you single cover Jeremiah Smith at any point, whether it's in the regular spot on the field or in the red zone, they just throw it to him and he makes a play, whether it's a touchdown or not. They can run it with fast backs that are getting better every single game, namely their freshman Bo Jackson, who's right up there in some of the efficiency numbers, average yards per carry, things of that nature. Oh, and hey, by the way, they've got a 5-star quarterback that's starting to look like a 5-star quarterback. The most accurate passer in college football at 80%. He's in the top 5 in passer efficiency. He's only thrown the 2 picks, and they happened a few weeks ago. Like, he's really good. So Ohio State's number one. Oh, by the way, that whole dissertation about answers and the way that their offense is playing and how elite they are and suffocatingly good they are, guess what I haven't talked about yet? The single best unit in college football. The Ohio State defense is the elite unit in the sport, period. They are great at the line of scrimmage. Caden Curry has become a real factor as defensive end. They have the best tandem linebackers in the country in Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese. And they have the single best defender behind all that in Caleb Downs. It is the best defense and single best unit in the country. And here's what's scary about that, is that a lot of these guys are really smart players, and Matt Patricia has taken them to another level. I can't believe I'm about to say this because they were number one in the country. They won the national championship, and they were the best defense in the country a year ago. Ohio State's defense is better this year. They're faster and they're more intricate, and then they can execute those intricate systems and schematics. The scary part is that Matt Patricia has elevated this defense. They are prepared. They execute. They're fundamentally even a little better than they were early last year. That's a scary proposition. So why is Ohio State number one over the other teams? Not that they're bad, the other teams. Not that they're, like wildly better. This is the, no. It's just like they haven't shown a weakness. They've got the most elite unit in the sport. They've got the best offensive player in the sport. They got the best defensive player right now, Caleb Downs. Like, that's a tough out. And so that's why they're the number one team in the country. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. And you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.